Hello, welcome to Leadership in Action, a series of short, timely, and relevant interviews with law firm leaders on issues important to running a successful mid-sized law firm. These podcasts are part of the Managing Partner series presented by Thomson Reuters in affiliation with the Managing Partner Forum and are hosted by John Remsen Jr., CEO of the Managing Partner Forum and President of the Remsen Group. Our guest this month is Andre Ryan, head of BCF Litigation based in Montreal, Canada, with approximately 200 attorneys. Andre's primary practice areas are commercial litigation and class action defense. Welcome, Andre and John.
Well, thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
And Andre, thank you for joining us. And the topic this month is that of law firm networks and how to find the right law firm network for your law firm. And once you find it, really plugging in and getting the most from it. I'm a big proponent of law firm networks for smaller and mid-sized law firms. And the key is, as mentioned, to find the right one and really plug in. And we're delighted to have with us today Andre Ryan. And Andre is the immediate past chair of Meritas, what I believe to be one of the best law firm networks out there. And so, Andre, welcome.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure to be with you.
And before we get started, tell us a little bit about your law firm, BCF, and its history and some of its priorities looking into the future.
Thank you for the opportunity, John. BCF is a relatively young firm with 21 years of existence. I joined the firm 17 years ago. I was, I believe, the 26th lawyer joining the firm. We're now close to 200 professionals. In this jurisdiction, nothing prevents us from having partners from other professions. So we do have patent agents, trademark agents, one accountant who's a partner, and the notaries, which is, as you would know, particular to civil law jurisdictions. So the firm sustained constant and very important growth over the last 20 years. First, by organic development. We're constantly hiring back all our articling students, but we've also made significant strategic lateral hirings over the years. We are very focused on remaining independent, an independent regional firm. We think of ourselves as occupying a leadership position here in the province of Quebec. We've been rewarded for the last 8 years as one of Canada's best 50 best managed companies. So I find we're quite tight in our operations. And, in terms of priorities, we're looking at certainly consolidating our leadership role in the circle of mid-sized independent firms in this market, maintaining our ability to grow organically while still considering opportunities from the perspective of lateral hirings when they present themselves. And internally, I would say that we have a very significant investment program in our technology. We're changing our whole accounting system, incorporating more capabilities from a project management standpoint, and basically, focusing on everything that strengthens and improves our internal efficiency.
It's clear that you all really bring a business approach to running your law firm. And most American firms, I don't think, are as far along as your firm appears to be in terms of running the place like a business. The recognition as one of the 50 best managed companies is interesting. Not law firms, but companies. It speaks highly of a lot of the things you seem to be doing well and the growth, and I would think the profitability that accompanies that, a lot to be said for it. Coming to our topic, and that of a network, and I know your firm has been a long-term member of Meritas, and you have been a leader of that network. And tell us a bit about Meritas and what's going on on within that organization?
Yeah, with pleasure. I mean, we joined Meritas in 1999. So to tell you a bit about Meritas, I find Meritas is certainly a leader in the world of global affiliation of independent law firms. We dedicated at Meritas a lot of energy and resources to maintaining that leadership position and, keeping an offer out there for members that remains relevant in these day and age, which is quite challenging. So, as far as I'm concerned, the last 4 years I served, the past 2 years as global chairman of Meritas, the previous 2 years as vice chair in charge of our very aggressive quality assurance program. And as chairman, I worked extensively on putting together a realistic but quite aggressive strategic plan, which is necessary to take us to the next level and, as I said, keep the organization relevant to its members.
And how many firms are part of Meritas?
Right now, you're talking about 175 firms in roughly 80 countries around the world, covering more or less 235 markets.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are they generally, how big are these firms? What types of practices do they tend to hold?
Yeah, Meritas looks in the markets where it recruits, always looking for a mid-sized firm is an expression that we North Americans are more familiar with. Elsewhere in the world, what we will talk about is an independent law firm with a full breadth of commercial law practice, which has a leadership position in the mid-market segment. So those are the firms that we look for.
As you know, I work with mid-sized firms, mostly here in the U.S., and if they're not already in a network, or even if they are in a network, let's make sure you're in the right one and you've done your due diligence. And so, Andre, what advice might you give a managing partner listening to this conversation who's trying to find a network for his or her firm? And I guess that speaks to, first, why should I join one? You wanted to chat a little bit about that, and I'm sort of convinced I need to plug into one of these affiliations, one of these networks. How do I get started? Why do I want to do it? How do I find that right one?
Well, that's a great question, John. What BCF did 16 years ago, and I think it may be of good advice to managing partners out there. Our goal initially in joining a network was not to use it as a business development tool so much as it was out of necessity to serve our clients doing business outside our market. So in other words, I would say the first advice to a managing partner is not to look at a network for purposes of initially at least growing its book of business, but rather to consolidate its existing book of business by providing the firm's clients with quality services wherever their business takes them. And once you've made a determination that in order to consolidate your relationship with your clients, you need to join one of these networks, what you're going to be looking for first is a network that offers some guarantees of quality. And that's done by, looking for two things. A, is there some kind of quality monitoring, but more importantly, you're going to look at the membership roster and its presence in the key markets where you think your clients are likely to conduct their affairs. So for us, it became obvious at BCF our clients are exporters, they're developers, they're entrepreneurs that take their business outside of Quebec and Canada. What we needed was the ability to refer them in confidence to the places where they were more likely to go. And once you do that, and once you identify a network, then you want to make sure you involve the right people. So the mindset there is, what's best for the client, as opposed to, what's the best for the book of business of X or Y partner. And so those are, I think, the initial key advices I would give to a managing partner.
Yeah, that's interesting, Andre, because I think most law firms are looking for the inbound referrals. That's their number one priority as they plug into a network. I want inbound referrals from all these firms across the world, across the country, who are going to start feeding us work when they need the Wyoming counsel or wherever the heck are my firm's located. So you're saying, no, that's not the way to look at it. First and foremost, it's about your clients and taking darn good care of them and their success.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that, John, for two reasons. First, because by our own experience, that's what took place and it worked out. The second thing is I find when you're sensitized, if you want, to the necessity of serving your clients well in foreign jurisdictions, it's highly likely that you're going to be a very efficient and good lawyer serving foreign clients doing business in your own jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. So there's an adequation, if you want, between the two. And I also find that it's easier for lawyers who are accustomed to working with clients who do business elsewhere to actually get involved and engaged in the relationship with the network that the firm is going to select. And don't get me wrong here, engagement is key.
Absolutely it is. You get out of it what you put into it, like anything.
But by chairing our global affiliation and visiting member firms all over the world, I often ran into the firm that, has an issue with, they could be not satisfied with the level of inbound work they're getting, but all they're really doing is paying their dues and, waiting for the work to fall on their desks. It doesn't work like that. You have to create the relationships. I often, people will come to my desk and say, well, do we have a member firm in X country? I'll say yes. The next question they will ask is, do you know someone there? So you and I, John, know that at the end of the day, it's creating the relevant relationships that really matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Relationships with people you know, you like, you trust.
And
important.
So you have to attend meetings. You have to, to make face-to-face encounters. You have to exchange and discuss on your firm's culture, your clients' needs, and that's how it eventually creates inbound work.
Mm-hmm. I think I would advise a managing partner looking for a network, as you say, who are those member firms? Are they quality firms with whom you'd like to affiliate? In which jurisdictions are your clients needing work outside the markets you serve? And I would ask about turnover within the membership. If you find a network and there's a lot of turnover among the member firms, that should raise a red flag. Just curious, because something I see the firms struggle with, or at least there's some internal debates often, is how origination is handled. Let's say that through the network a $2 million litigation comes.
Yep.
And who gets the origination credit? Is there any origination credit? You've got some lawyers that have really been investing a lot of time in the network that generate that referral, on the one hand. On the other hand, it's likely that the firm is paying the dues and paying the expenses associated with that lawyer's participation in the network.
The very, very interesting question. I'll tell you a couple things on it. The first thing I would tell you is that the network itself, and that's something that we've been, more convinced than ever of at the Meritas, should not get mixed up in firm management. So the network may have recommendations, but you don't want the network to start saying to the firms how they should handle it. There's a wide array of ways that the firm handle it. It goes from I'll tell you what many firms do is they have a so-called fictional Meritas lawyer internally that gets the origination credit, so it's shared among the partners, and the partners and associates who actually work on the matters are rewarded for their time. And then you've got at the other end of the spectrum, and I'll tell you right away, BCF has elected 4 or 5 years ago to go that route. We give origination credit to the partner in charge of the matter. All your partners are not going to get engaged and involved in the network, but those who do typically will be the ones getting the referrals.
Yes.
And so we found internally that it was most rewarding and most stimulating for partners to get engaged if they in turn, when the referral comes in, got the credit.
So, Andre, how would you, when it comes to succession and bringing our younger lawyers to bear within the network, perhaps, helping some of the senior lawyers find other things to do, what advice might you dispense to address that situation?
Yeah, I really like your question, John, because it's very challenging because you're trying to reconcile two concepts here. The stability of the firm's representation in a network is key to its success. Mm-hmm. Because over the years, if you keep sending different people to the meetings, you're not able to create those relevant relationships that eventually, turn into referrals. So you have to keep some stability. What we did internally at BCF is we favor that stability by keeping the same member contacts until something happens that justifies a replacement. For instance, a partner leaves or gets too busy on something. But otherwise, we have created a program internally by which we year after year make it available to attend, for instance, the annual meeting or the North American meetings for senior associates and younger partners. What Meritas has been really good at is creating programs designed for junior partners and for senior associates, such as the Leadership Institute or the Young Lawyer Liaison Program.
And you guys are doing some programming now for managing partners as well within Meritas.
We are.
Providing them a forum where they can get together and discuss areas of common interest. And
that's very interesting because of the regional, I hesitate to qualify it as exclusivity, but there is some degree of exclusivity in the market. I find the forum is very good because it allows managing partners to speak more freely than they would do with other managing partners from the same region.
Andre, we really appreciate your sharing some of your tips and suggestions as to how firms can get the most out of them, how to find the right one, how to plug in. Take a look at the Meritas website, folks, and get a feel for what's out there, what these networks offer, and there are dozens and dozens of these networks across the globe. So it's a good deal. Finally, Andre, before we let you go, is there anything we haven't yet talked about? Any advice you might offer to a managing partner of a mid-sized firm attempting to run the firm more like a business in these changing times for the legal marketplace?
Thank you, John, for the opportunity. The only thing I would really tell the managing partners is address the issues when they surface, because we lawyers have a tendency to think that our problems will go away. But it really is changing out there. It's changing fast. And if you're not convinced of it, go on the road and make an appointment with 3 or 4 general counsels and ask them to compare their situation with the one they lived in 10, 12 years ago. And they will convince you that you need to adapt and change really rapidly.
And Andre, I think that's great advice. And there is a tendency, lawyers don't like change. They don't like risk. And they're having a hard time in many cases adapting to the evolving marketplace. But I think if you're not evolving, you're standing still, you're losing ground. That's not good. Andre Ryan, thank you so much for being with us and participating in our podcast series. And Colleen, I'll kick it back to you to wind us out.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Managing Partners Series, Leadership in Action. For more information and resources, visit legalsolutions.com/managing partner.